So in a moment, we're going to be working on the painting. Jeff's just doing a warm up really quick. I hope you've all had a super awesome, wonderful weekend and day and Monday. If you're new here, hi, hello, what's up? I'm Erica, and on camera, I hope, it's Jeff, my husband, and we're Artists Till Death. We go live every day, usually at 6 p.m. Central, except for on Tuesdays during the week. And it's not always resin. Today it happens to be airbrush, but it is always a good time. And I'm so thankful.
Always a good time.
It is always a good time. I'm so thankful to all of y'alls that are here with us today. Today's going to be a little glimpse into adding airbrush onto artwork that was not created in airbrush to pull out some depth and dimension. And honestly, it's stuff that I could not do at this point in my watercolor journey. The amount of shading that I'm looking for, I cannot do it yet without messing everything up. And so my husband is going to help me with that. But before doing that, he has got to warm up, which is what you're looking at right now. Thank you, JJ, for reminding people to hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave me a comment, tell me where you're from, tell me what's up, what are you working on today, and do you like the color purple? Because purple is, I think, what color we're going to be doing the shading on this piece.
Well, I thought about maybe mixing a little bit shading gray in with this, but I don't. I'll see when I put it on.
Yeah. TG, I think you should get an airbrush. Jeff and I are going to do a resin piece and then basically show people how to make it a marble finish.
Like, that doesn't look bad, but I just don't want it to give it a different. I don't know if I like that purple for that. So let's just make
maybe like a purple based teal.
No, I don't want to use purple. You don't really have any purple in that.
I don't. So I've been working on this piece for, I'm not even sure how long. I have many hours logged into working on this piece. And I love her super much. And after messing her ear up with shading, it looks like there's mud in there, which is fine. Maybe she was in a muddy part of the water. And messing up these fins more times than I care to count. Jeff was like, hey, if you like,
let's use.
I'm happy to help you.
Let's just see what this trans black looks like real quick. Yeah, I don't have that.
Tudor, you just have a safe flight, sir. You have a California compressor.
That's what we have.
Do you know anything about that brand?
That's what we have.
Oh, we have California one? California Air?
Yeah, California Air. It's a good airbrush, or it's a good. Good compressor.
I don't know what it is about when we go live that makes our dogs always.
No, they've been quiet the entire day. Not one single peep.
Not one.
They're like, is it time? Is it that time?
Where do you keep getting these sticky notes from, ma'am? Here, chew on one of your 400
toys. This might be a little
toys.
bit better. So normally I would want to mask off this white. But I don't know how masking paper is going to do with this paper. It's very textured. The paper is just very textured kind of, and then there's paint on it, and I don't want to stick that down and start cutting on it and it peel up a piece of this paper. So I'm just going to do some light shadows around these areas, not worry about getting it on here because we can just go back over that with the white paint and clean it up. So I'm not worried about getting it here or on here.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to get the...
All right, so you got, do you know who the artist of this is?
Yes, it's my goodness. If you hadn't asked, would have been able to tell you immediately. One second.
You notice you don't need a lot of paint when you do airbrush. Just a little bit, especially when you're using these stencils. You just want to just barely hit it just to get a nice little soft line, especially when you're using a stencil. See, that was almost too much. I don't know what that was doing.
So the original artist's name is Kellogg's Loops. I hope you guys can read that. And he is a really talented watercolorist. I think I don't know, could be she. They are a very talented watercolor artist. And I'm just using their inspiration to kind of develop. And I think when you first start learning a new medium, the best practice is to find what like attracts you to the medium.
I did. I
and then just copy it until you get a feel for the material, right?
That's what I did with Olivia and Soriyama and all those people.
Hopefully the artist that inspired me to do these watercolor pieces doesn't really have a problem with being inspiration for people. And let me get you guys into it a little bit better. I mean, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with being inspired by someone else's work and using it to evolve your own style or even create your own style. I do think that proper like inspo credit should be given always. And while they may not be the first person to have painted in a certain style, or could be, I don't know, who knows? Giving credit when you're inspired by something is super important, I think. I can't even really tell where you're airbrushing because it's so faint.
You really gotta really take it easy on this. Do you want to do a shadow?
Yeah. I like all shadows.
And I would almost do that with like a gray marker or something.
If you want to do it with a gray marker, you can. I couldn't do it with watercolor, so I'm not going to attempt it with a marker. It looks so good with a shadow. Cheater, I hope you have a super safe flight. I have news on Clara. She's back out of the hospital and home resting. So we love that. So happy to see all of you guys here. Thank you so much for coming in. Could you give her an earring? Maybe I'll put a crystal there, just one Swarovski, just boop, just pierce her ear. I was honestly, when I was doing this piece, I decided I was over it with her ear and almost just painted a whole bunch of white hair over it. So if I were to be trying to do a shadow on this hair that you're working on, it wouldn't look as good because I wouldn't have paid attention to the depth of what is behind it. Like the bridge of the nose versus the base of the nose is different. So the weight of the shadow has to be different.
Well, and this is the thing with this particular piece is it's not that it's flat, but everything is, you know, pretty flat. Like, so if I were to go in here and really want to do a real shadow, I think it would just look too.
It would distract.
Yeah.
But I like the weight of this shadow. Did you send me a text earlier? I don't know if I got it, but I'll look. Just like kids, quiet until you're on a call for work. Yes, that is 1,000% them. So have you guys ever dabbled in airbrush or watercolor? I changed her mouth. I changed a lot of things. I just basically used the Kellogg's loops piece as basically a stencil. I wanted the shapes down and I wanted to be inspired by what was already there and then kind of make it my own. No to both. TG, I think you would be good at airbrush. I mean, you're doing a whole bunch more faux finishes now, and it just definitely, I don't know. I would have it in my arsenal in most mediums, I think. I would, I don't know. I can't see it hurting to learn how to airbrush, no matter what art you're doing. What's up, Kelly? How was your day? So what Jeff's using right now is a custom cut stencil. I think we have it on our website. If you're interested in his,
They're basically called hand stencils. It just gives you a nice little edge. They're meant for being able just to block an area, just so that it gives it a little bit more realistic, a little bit more control with your shadowing and whatnot. See, like it keeps this white hair right here from getting paint on it. Just makes it nice and clean.
JJ says, I clicked so fast when I saw airbrush in the title. Not that I don't on the other vids, but the airbrush is that magic type of stuff. Kelly, thank you. I really wanted to get this piece finished by Friday, where we will be having a fall art sale on this piece and many others. I would love to have all of you guys here for that.
I gotta go drop that thing down there.
Sure. And I'd love to have all of you guys here for for the art sale. She already looks better, and he hasn't even done that much airbrush to her. Do you like the copper highlights, or do you think they're distracting? Hold on, let me get them caught in the light. Jeff had to go. He's dropping something out the window to a friend of his, but Canvas always wants to see if anyone is at our window ever. She hops up and wants to see out. So yeah, we're gonna have doorbusters and grab bags during our fall sale. It'll be on Friday at 6 p.m. Central, the same time you joined me here today. Jeff will be over to do more airbrush in a moment, but he's got to drop this out. Did you draw it on canvas or transfer a sketch? This is on Arch's watercolor paper. Don't mind Bowie. He has allergies from being at his Auntie Rhonda's this week. You're okay. So it's on watercolor paper. And there is a compound that you can put on canvases in order to watercolor on them, but that wasn't on this one. So it's just on very heavy watercolor paper. And the brand is Arches. I think the shine of the copper looks good. So she hangs out on the back of the couch. All right, back to the tutorial. Hey, hey. I know. I can't give you any more medicine for another 40 minutes. Okay, go get some water. Come here, let's go get some water. Will you... I'm going to get him some medicine. Will you do that?
Come on. Go with Mama. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm putting a mic on my shirt, so. Man, I don't have my... I lost a contact this morning, and I'm just like letting my eyes breathe because I haven't let them breathe in a minute. So getting up close is a little challenging, and this easel moves back and forth, which is terrible. I love this easel, but that's the only thing that I don't like. And I was trying to paint with it. We took it to a pool party last week, and the wind was blowing. It was terrible. And what I'm doing, I'm just giving this just a little bit more definition. Separate the shadow from. She doesn't have any eyelashes on hers, which I don't know what the deal is, so I'm not going to put some that are
Come back.
very bright. Eyebrows look great. So you don't have to always stick with your medium. Like if you're doing watercolor, you're doing acrylics, you're doing airbrush. You can always, if you're not comfortable with the paintbrush doing the little stuff, get you a paint pen, get you a pencil, and just very lightly add it until you like it and darken it. Or use airbrush or use paint, whatever you're comfortable with.
Hello, everyone. TG. But Cujo had an enlarged heart and a more severe collapsing trachea, and Bowie just has a slight collapsing trachea. It just gets exacerbated when he has allergies. And it happens like every other time we go down to Rhonda's.
I'm getting hungry.
Oh, yes, Kelly. I did paint it, but it's not perfect. So
I did not mean to do that, but I don't hate that.
Jeff is helping me with it. We do often use Posca pens and Pen Touch pens. A lot of our artwork at this point is mixed media. A lot of his portraits will incorporate acrylic wash, airbrush, charcoal, graphite, sometimes resin. But I think it's important to.
I'm just trying to get comfy.
Sure. Granted, I'm cheating by Jeff being the person that's airbrushing for me, but I'm working on it. I'm learning. I'm trying, but I haven't gotten there yet. And so in the meantime, Jeff is helping me. Even my resin art is a lot of times mixed media, and we'll add decals over it, or we'll do a painting on top of it, or a number of other things. But I think it's important. Watercolor all in one brushes or water and brush? So Kelly, I do have some watercolor brush pens, but I did not use any of those on this piece. The paints I used on this piece, if you guys don't mind me taking you away from the arts, I used mostly these watercolors, QOR, Cure. I have no idea how to actually say it. Watercolors, and some of these Koi watercolors. This palette is just a palette. It's not, I just use these paints on this palette. And then I have a gouache set that I use that was gifted to me from my lovely fairy art mother. And the brand of these are, 1 second. Emmy. That's my brother's nickname. I guess that's the SKU for maybe online. Do I sell, I'm sorry, Kelly, are you asking if I sell the artwork or the watercolors? It is a collaboration. JJ says y'all's teamwork is next level. Love that fairy art mother, right? Love her too. She's in Vegas right now visiting her son, Mitchell. That highlight on the eyelids looks really good. I messed up the flow of the ear, so just
Yeah, this will be fine. Like, because it's not super detailed, so it's not a big deal. Like, I think
good.
that's fine.
Watercolors. I do not sell watercolors. You can make your own watercolors by using glycerin, mica, and honey. And just,
Honey?
yeah, honey it's the binder that's in all watercolors. Mind blown. Guess tell me that, my fairy art mother. I had no idea. Learn something new every day, yeah? But yeah, you just get those things together, and there's a million recipes online. I made my own. They did not work as well as the store-boughts, and I don't really work with that many metallic watercolors. So didn't work out for me when I tried to make my own. So, but you certainly can make your own.
What do you want to do with this? Like, I think you need to separate it.
I didn't hear what you said.
I think you need to separate, like, I think there needs to be it's very flat, you know what I'm like.
Yeah, I figured we would put a shadow under. No?
That would be too much.
How do you propose? How do you propose we separate the flatness of my koi lily pad situation? Oh, outline. Yeah, go for it. There's a request for you to help detail other people's artwork. They said, please. I'm going to assume he's thinking about it. Yeah, like you're helping me to detail my artwork. People are like, can you help me with mine?
I don't know about that. Only because I have such a different style, and a person would have a completely different style, and then I don't know. I guess I would just have to see the work first.
I'm almost 100% sure that it was a light-handed, like, will you help me with mine? Comment. I don't know if she could have been serious. Let me know. I think we've only taken in other people's artwork to work on like a handful of times. It's a big risk when you take in other people's artwork because you're taking ownership of something that someone else put time and energy and money into. And when we take in other people's artwork to work on, it's a 5-page agreement. It's a liability waiver. It's a whole deal. Anyway.
See, I'm not like making a solid line around this. I'm just kind of
No, I like it.
Barely touching it, just so that it is. I would put like.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, once you start something like this, you have to.
I mean, the fish already looks better from having that slight outline. Kelly says, JK, I'm in Canada. We want to come up to Canada. We do, but maybe not work in Canada. Jeff's scared because long story. From when he did body painting. I can't believe they booked you there anyways. How do you experience the difference between gouache and watercolor? What is the difference? So, Mandy, watercolor is a transparent water-based medium, and gouache is an opaque water-based medium.
And you use gouache you can
reactivate it.
reactivate gouache.
Yeah. All you have to do is put water back on it and you can reactivate the gouache. Whereas a lot of times watercolor will seep into the paper. Gouache will seep into the paper too, but it's got like a surface level paint that doesn't sink in. And so you can reactivate it and further manipulate it by just adding water to it. The way around that is to use an archival spray in between the layers so that it doesn't reactivate. So for example, these dots are, this water down here is gouache. So you can see that there's something behind it, but my watered down gouache, you can barely see that line. If it was watercolor, you'd be able to see through it.
I don't know if this pen actually works.
Cool, come on up one day.
It's not.
That tells you how much I love both of your works. Well, thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate that. I'm having a fire sale on Friday if you would like some of my work. I do ship to Canada. And I would greatly appreciate your support for us as a small business trying to make it in this crazy world. Hi, Evelyn. How are you doing? TG, you're all right. It is too cold for Jeff. My fella is not about being cold. That's the best definition I've ever heard. I suddenly understand, and I have Googled it multiple times. Well, thank you, Mandy, for letting me know I've helped out. They're relatively similar. So in the family, there's watercolor and then there's gouache. You can also, if either of those mediums are intimidating at all, you can also just take your watercolor. You can take your acrylics and make a wash out of them by just very much watering them down. And that's actually what Jeff does. He doesn't, I mean, he could watercolor, but he does acrylic wash instead. And you can get translucent medium color pigment. You can get translucent paint with just watered down acrylics, and those will not reactivate. They'll stain wherever you put them. But watercolor is a translucent, gouache is opaque, and they work really well together, gouache and watercolors. I think most times people use gouache, watercolor, and color pencil together. I'm sure there are a lot of people that do airbrush on top of it as well. But I don't know. Great snowboarding here. What? Don't tempt me. We haven't booked a snowboarding trip yet. I can't even think about that yet. You both are so gifted. Galen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. It's 78 in Colorado right now. What is it here? 90 something?
Pretty nice here. No, it's not. I don't think it's 90 yet.
I haven't been out since this morning. Okay, another question about media type. Sure. Bombay ink versus acrylic ink. So Bombay ink is it's a water-based and it's very thin. It's actually ink like is in pens. So if you were to be writing with a quill, you would use an ink like Bombay. Have you ever seen those? You probably haven't because I'm the crazy person that watches. I probably can't even pull it up right now. I can't even find it. There's people on, there's one person that I watch that does these like massive, I don't know what kind of Oriental painting it is, so I don't want to be insensitive and call it one thing when it's not, but it's, you know, Asian heritage type art.
Pink.
And they like wet it down and they pull like a big row of ink across, and then they put these little people with like a red suit and a hat. I'm not describing it well, but it's beautiful, and that is with inks like Bombay. Acrylic inks are much heavier. They tend to separate, and they have a bigger particle size. And so, personally, in terms of preference, I prefer a Bombay ink. Actually, I think I may have some to show you in comparison. So one is an ink and one is a liquid acrylic. Basically, it's just a fluid acrylic, much like golden. It's just different, but only slightly. So, for example, this is not Bombay, but it is a liquid acrylic. So it's an acrylic type ink. It's pretty thick. You can see, even though it is a metallic, if you were here, I guess you could see the particles almost, because you can see the difference in the sheen right in this light blue that's on top. You can see some dark in it where the different particles are. It's not going to let me focus. And then you have, this one is a Liquitex ink, but it's a lot like Bombay. These are a lot more pigmented, they're a lot more concentrated, and both should be light fast. You can use them both with like a paintbrush, a pen, a brush pen. You could probably put both through an airbrush, but depending on the needle size for the acrylic based one. Oh, this one's by Dollar Rowney. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I was trying to find the particle size, the micron size or the but it's not on here. So when you use one like this, let me see if I have one that's just sitting. The acrylic based ones, you have to shake really well before you use because they'll settle. Oh, here's a flat one. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So here is the DR one, just like the blue one I just showed you. This is a flat. It's like a sepia, sienna, I'm not sure. But let me try to find. Okay. All right. So see the color up here? It's like very clear on the top. Then it's a little bit more concentrated here. And on the bottom, it's like dark. It's not even the same color as up here. And you can see little bits of sediment sinking because the particle size won't stay buoyant because it's very thin liquid, but the particle size is big, so it sinks. Like when you mix sugar into cold tea to make it sweet tea, everything's going to just sink to the bottom. Whereas this one, you can't even see through it on any light. I don't have any more of this brand handy, but it doesn't separate because the particles are finer. And for me, that just means an easier blending. Ultimately, that's the long way around of saying you can blend easier with an ink than acrylic. I hope that makes sense. What's up, Donna Parker? Use Bombay inks on a clear resin piece where I just dragged small skewer through it. How did it go? Well, Bombay inks they're good. So Jeff added the outline, and I think I like the kind of drawn on, maybe stickered layer. I like the outline. I like the separation from how it was. See how this one is not outlined? Don't you think it looks better? I think it does. And he added some depth in the flower petals. Not this one. He did this one. But the shadow makes it, ooh, don't look at my nails. The shadow makes it look so much nicer, I think. I think he added these little dots of highlight because she is, you know, a little watery. And he added more wispies, which I think looks really nice. Do you guys have any more questions about, I was trying to get the copper to hit the highlights. You can see the sheen of it, but it's not going to do it. Do you have any more questions about any other mediums? I'm working on this piece right now. It's going to be pretty great. Bombay could work to add details on watercolors, but the difference in watercolors and inks are that wherever you put an ink is going to be where it lives forever. Watercolor, you can kind of wake up, mess around, move around a little bit, but not so much with inks. Wherever you put the inks is going to be where it lives. So make sure that wherever it is that you put them, you're cool with where it's at. Jeff uses a lot of fluid acrylics for his airbrush. This is some of his collection. And we use a lot of Posca. I'm not sure where he went. He may have had to go drop something off. I'm hoping he adds some lashes. And I think I want to add some definition into these fins. Or do you think that they're okay how they are? I think some definition in between more of the flower petals would be good. But what do you guys think? Should I put shadow under the lily pads? He did not add lashes because he wasn't sure why she didn't have any. Oh, that must have happened when I was taking care of my Bowie. Oh, thank you, Donna Parker. I hope you're okay. That picture Jeff's working on with you is stunning. It's one of my most favorites. That makes sense with the Bombay inks being permanent where it lands. Well, thank you so much. I did another piece by this artist. Let me show you what she looks like. So this is where Bowie hangs out when we are doing a live. So we're working here. He's in his director's seat, moderating, wine. So this is the other one I've done from that artist. I did some changes, but I love her. She will also be available at our fire sale on she's just creepy. On Friday at 6 p.m. All right, I'm just going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to fix some of the fin because it's kind of odd looking. And if he's not out by the time we get done with it, we're about to come send a search party for you. I didn't change a lot.
Looks good.
Do you think anything about doing a shadow under the lily pads, or is that too much? I mean, if depth was a concern, what do you think?
I wouldn't do that because you have to do it a shadow on her, and you'd have to do the shadow on the hair, and then you'd have to do the shadow like you have to in between these. You have to put a shadow on her. Probably more definition of the hair. This is just very subtle. I think if you did it, it would definitely. I think it would make it dark, and I like how light all of it is. I just wonder, like, what you thought about up there.
I'm not sure. I guess I should outline this fish to match that one. Or do you?
Oh yeah, I haven't even.
Yeah, I see what you mean about adding too much to it, and then it goes from kind of cartoonish to, are you trying to be realistic? He did not add lashes because he wasn't sure why she did not have any.
I added like a little bitty line with the.
I see that, TJ.
Pencil, but I didn't want to because you have that salt line, which this is your own little thing.
Well, I was gonna add lashes, but I didn't want to end up putting my style lashes on it when her lashes are so soft in the reference. Because I know I would have ended up going full, like, we go in clubbing lashes and not like daytime Aquarius lashes. I like that variation in aqua color in the top left corner. That's one of the beautiful things about watercolor is you just put your color down and then add more water and then just let it live, and then it just disperses in that kind of unique pattern. All right, B, what do you think I should put in that top left corner?
No clue. I don't know because I don't want to add anything. Like maybe just another lily pad or something.
I could do just another lily pad.
Or you can just do some of those bubbles like you see with that bronze.
That?
Yeah.
Maybe a wheel. But if you guys want to see how she ends up, you're going to have to come back on Friday at 6 p.m. Central. Just kidding. I'll end up posting about her as soon as I think she's finished, I'm sure. Because I'm very proud of her and I put a lot of work into the piece. And yeah, I hope she finds a new home this Friday at 6 p.m. Central if you guys are so inclined. But till then, Bowie's ready to go outside, I'm sure. And I gotta cook dinner. What are you looking for? But till then, be kind to one another because you never know what someone's going through.
And always remember, here at Artist Hilda Studios, Dallas, Texas, her or I or we do the test.
So you don't have to.
Ew.
I know, but I have to put a pause in it if I go right into, and we'll see you guys in the next video. then he's like, why are you saying it so fast? So
You just literally, there's no in between.
sometimes you don't need an in between. Sometimes you just have to go, just, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just, anyway, you guys, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central. No idea what we'll do, but we'll probably do resin. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
I said bye.
But say bye. Just say bye.